When I say reward system, take for example, if I am a chief judge of this country, one of the things I will benefit at being a chief judge, if any of my children wanted to go to law school, there must be some incentive because their father was the chief judge of the federation. And you can pick a lot of positions like this and make it to him. So the reward system, we have to look at it and improve on it so that people, we were doing it before. Public transport, if you are in uniform, you don't pay. So the soldier feels proud that his country has recognized him. He gets into a bus,
taxi,
and because he's in uniform, he doesn't pay. So he will be grateful to the government, he will be grateful to the military, and he will remain in that profession. So we have to look at the reward system and reform the reward system of the country.
Do you sometimes look at it and think, probably at the stage at which it should have been nipped, if it could have been nipped, this ought to have been nipped instead of accusations now that it is selective and it goes only after political opponents of the government in power?
Well, like I told you, for every one action, there are as many as 180 million opinions on this. And that's what you get.
But what's your opinion?
What we did, and I'm proud to say that what we did, we tried to find out the root cause. How has it started? In public service. We identified those places and we started taking measures to block those places. We found out, for example, one of the, and this is as a result of a study made by, I think, Honorable Justice Babalakin in one of his reports that we read. You can easily a minister can take import license in his briefcase. If he comes here, he sees me rankedede and greeted him. If I tell him I want an import license, all he needs is to open his briefcase, bring it up and give it to me. I thanked him. That's not right. So we said, okay, those are areas. Or take an ordinary farmer. He gives bribe, either his cocoa or his beans, to be graded number 1, so that he takes some money out of that and so on. So you get to those places and nip them and stop them. We stopped import license because of that. We stopped the commodity board, marketing board and so on. And that has gone a long way. Mali Hayaguso in the north fought a lot to get these things sorted out. May he so rest in peace. He really fought, but it was still going on. So why do we have to continue doing this thing? So get to the root cause and put an end to it. Allow Nigerians to use their creative energies, to use their energy to, if you take, I'll give you an example. People in the southeast, they like stockfish. Some of the problems they have, they don't have the foreign money to go to Sweden or somewhere to go and buy these things. You open it, he can go and buy dollars through the Bureau de Change, which fortunately is still operating now. He doesn't have to go and plead with an ordinary bank manager to plead with him to give him bribe because he wanted. So the best option to this is liberalization. But then there are people, Nigerians today, who don't believe that you need to open up the economy and liberalize it. There are people who belong to the school of thought, the old school. Control. It will not work.
Do you sometimes look back and think, with benefit of hindsight, I could have done this better, or I could have done this differently? Or you're the type who has no thoughts of looking back and thinking?
No, I think it's always better to look back so that you don't repeat the same mistake. There is value in looking at back, or looking at situations that happened in the past. That has informed you, it gives you a refiner thinking. Road safety. And I have always given credit to Wole Soyinka. He started it at a very modest pace, then it spread in the southwest. And then we thought with
Federal government backing.
Yeah, some of his friends said, why don't we do it this way? And I remembered Bolaji Akinyemi saying, and because I know the Nigerians very well, I said he might not like to do it because ours was a military regime, illegal regime, and so on. But he convinced me that Wole is passionate about Nigeria, is passionate about human lives losses, and behold, Bolaji Akinyemi was right. And when I talked with him, he willingly did it, and I was very happy. Today, it is an established institution now in the country. There is nothing we could do about it, but to accept it, this is an institution.
This recommendation you made now would probably also, I'm inferring now, would probably also affect something like petroleum subsidy, which you also had to battle with back then, and you had a running battle with the labor unions during your term over the issue of the subsidy or those subsidies.
To make it 70 kobo per litre.
Exactly, at the time. Well, today it's 145.
I think we just have to be determined as a people, that yes, we have to fight this. And I think if you remember during the Shagari's regime, they came out with a program called Ethical Revolution. I read that book. It contained a lot of good things. But as we change, everybody throws it away. Like you said earlier, if you read Sylvanus Cookie's report, everything that we are talking today is all embedded in there. All you need is to take that which is better and implement it. And even though as a military we did the best we can to educate the people, this is what we are trying to do. To even remove that subsidy, we waged a campaign to educate the people so that they understand. We tell them it is cheaper to buy petrol than to buy
a bottle of Coke.
That's right.
At the time.
And that is the way they should be able to understand. There has to be communication all the time, especially in policy changes.
You alluded earlier on when you were saying, people tend to look at the messenger and not the message and all of that. You alluded to the issue of June 12. Do you still think about that? It's 25 years now.
When I read it, I think about it.
Do people still talk to you about that?
Not really. Not
Maybe
really.
the media still raises it occasionally.
I wouldn't like to accuse you for saying this.
Because you say that people tend to say things like, he annulled June 12, and they dismiss whatever else it is that you're saying.
That's right. Yes. He cancelled the freest. And nobody gives me credit for conducting the freest. He cancelled the best and the freest elections in the history of this country. But he annulled it. We tried to rationalize why we had to do what we did, but nobody is prepared to listen to us. So it's a matter of time. One day the younger generations who will be coming up to read they will say, okay, we have had the other side, let's hear the other side. Maybe we will then have a better society, well informed what happened within a period of their existence. They will then be able to say, no, I think this is the true story.
Let me take you outside Nigeria, and you were one of the first, maybe not the only, but you were one of the first people to recognize what was then the coming crisis in Liberia and how it would spill over into Guinea and into Sierra Leone, which it eventually did. And you essentially midwifed ECOMOG, which over time, even after you left office, eventually brought stability to the country. I was talking to some of the media colleagues here before we came on set, and we were still talking about that and the fact that probably you had foreseen, you saw what was to come, and eventually it did come, and at a huge cost to the West African sub-region, in particular when we're talking of Liberia, Sierra Leone. What informed your thinking then?
Because of certain things that are happening around the world, and I concluded that it could happen in the West African sub-region, and that's why I warned about it. We should learn from what other countries are going through.
You did more than one. You actually sent troops.
Yes, because Nigeria convinced other
ECOWAS
countries, and especially the presidents, that it could be you next time if you allow this sort of thing to happen. And quite frankly, they took that very seriously. But then Nigeria also was aware of their shortcomings in terms of military might, in terms of money to run some of the operations.
To get it going.
So what we did was just a very simple, common sense solution to the problem. We have men, we have equipment. There are other countries in the sub-region that are very good in communication. So we tasked them about to provide the communication for that operation. There are others who are very good in some unique warfare. So you tasked them. But Nigeria took the burden. And you go to Liberia in those days, they will tell you, thank Nigeria, thank for ECOMOG, thank for this. And I think it's...
You took quite a bit of satisfaction from
yes,
that, even now.
That's right.
I can hear that in your voice. Will you write an autobiography so that people can learn from your experience?
I don't know. People may not read it because it's coming from a dictator.
Oh, people read books. People read books.
Nigerians
and from
read
someone
books.
like you, they probably would.
Yeah, but a lot would say dictator. Yeah, he cancelled June 12. And that will kill the thing about the book. Even if I'm going to talk about it, I hope one day God spares my life, I will discuss about it, because I still believe people don't get what we were trying to put across. Nobody has ever sat down to say, okay, the two personnel are friends. What went wrong? I have never seen anybody writing anything on this to try to give people a different version altogether. He knew my feeling, I knew his feeling on the country generally, because we do talk about Nigeria with the presumed winner of the truly democratically freest election. We talked about it. We even talked about it during the crisis itself.
Yes, there was that famous meeting between you, he, and your...
And some emirs organized that.
Yeah.
And we had, I will hate to say that despite all that, two of us understood ourselves very well, that the level of friendship is so strong that we value our relationship very much. But like I said, typical Nigerian, no, don't do it. I think it's always the people. If you try to educate them, it sounds boring. Or if you try to reason. I give you an example. Trump announced tariff, and the whole world is talking now. In Germany, 28-year-old boy is seen now at the passing giving Angela Merkel a potential problem because he led a group of younger generation whose voices must be heard.
Right.
And that's, you don't have this sort of thing, people with such conviction. That's why in my 4 and 1, I included my boss, OBJ. Somebody has to have the conviction he has about the country and about where the country should go.
I'm sure people will be expecting you to write that book. And I hope you do.
I will try.
General, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you
talking
very
to
much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.